I believe that what we're seeing, what we're asked to do, is to see through what seems to be the contractions of these days and give birth to what is inside you. To me, it's as if all of creation, all that's true in creation, is joining. And the joining is in saying, I cannot tolerate lovelessness anymore. Hence, I'm sorry for your pain. Hence the words, please forgive me. Hence the words, I love you. We are in the process of both an abnormal but incredible creative joining like we've never seen before, but also in the pangs of healing, the parts of us that have been living identified with ego. Some time ago, I wrote a little piece about the Lenten experience and my thoughts about what this Lenten experience was. And I can't remember right now all of what was said in that piece, that sharing. But much of what was said there was about this being a time for letting go. We have been trying desperately to add on, to have one more practice and one more teacher and one more thing to do and one more video to watch and one more book to read and add on, ascend. And as we were coming into Lent, I was feeling that all of us, all creation was almost so full that there was no room for God anymore. And so what we were given to do and what we were asked, what Mary Beth was asked to do, was to begin this process of making room, letting go, releasing what no longer was serving love's purpose, that was keeping me from hearing love's voice. And that could have been anything. For each of us, it's personally different. But it seemed to me that for each of us, we were being asked to carve out, either with tears or with meditation or with joy, space for the Holy Spirit to really guide us into identification with love, a deeper, truer authenticity. It's been a very interesting Lenten period. I'm amazed because it's almost as if our prayer is being answered in a very strange and a way that is almost unimaginable. The prayer that is being answered is the birthing of the new world. But the new world cannot come until those of us who have been so deeply identified with the little world of me are ready to choose again. And the demonstration of the choice has been made super big so that we won't miss it. The demonstration of the choice between love and fear, what's false and true, is becoming plainer and plainer and plainer. We've been asking. And yet, deep in the unconscious, the will for God, our true will, has been buried. And what is happening now is that it is being made apparent that we must choose. We are going to find that will. And those of us who are ready and open and trusting of the journey that they've been on for so long will find themselves more and more in their God center, in the will of God, more in their beingness. But it will be a labor. And so it is no accident, is not random, it's not a mistake that there is this kind of virus sort of seemingly sweeping. We're getting to see how we, not in ways that were specifically malicious, but how we have been asleep. And we have been asleep. Not purposefully vicious, and yet the ego prays when we are dreaming. And the dreamest one is that the universe centers around me, right? That my life is the most important thing here, and my family is next, and my satisfactions and my pleasures. And what has happened is literally our pleasures and our pleasure seeking is becoming so apparent how synonymous with pain that is. And how it is our pleasures and all that we have, the so much that we have, the so much that we can take, that instead of offering it and giving it, it is that which is causing us now sickness and pain, grief, death. Forgiveness is not a stranger to us. In fact, we are literally experts at forgiveness. All of our spiritual practices brought us to this moment, and we are ready. And to be ready means literally to listen and allow the guidance that is being given to us. Allow the guidance to direct your doing. The guidance that I'm receiving is share your peace. But in order to share your peace, you have to allow for the cleansing. Some of this is putting away our addictions, being willing to put down that stuff that we've relied on, all the idols, right? We talked about that at the beginning of Lent. To put away, our reliance and dependence on false gods as best we can, and really lean into what is true. I am Son of God. My identity does not require a cigarette, an ice cream, a shopping spree. I am being asked in so many ways to accept a time of quiet, a period of introspection, and out of that to birth the good of God, the good of you, I wanted to read something that somebody sent me, and later I saw it on the internet. So beautiful. It says, this was one woman's vision. Her name is Kitty O'Mara. And she wrote, and the people stayed home. And they read books. And they listened and they rested and they exercised and they made art and they played games and they learned new ways of being and were still and they listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows. And the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices. They dreamed new images and created new ways to live, and they healed the earth fully as they had been healed. We must establish peace. We must establish quiet. We are being asked not to run. We are being asked to embrace whatever is unfolding on your spiritual path as your way home, as your labor of love. And maybe you thought that Jesus had promised you a heaven that was going to come in just like, I don't know, little tulips blooming, or maybe like suddenly you lost all the weight you've been trying to lose for so long and you didn't ever have a cold again, and you had all the food in the refrigerator that you needed, and you didn't have to work anymore, and you never had money problems again. And maybe that's what you think heaven is. Heaven is love. Heaven is you. Heaven arrives when we let Him teach us how to heal, that we may heal. We've been praying that prayer. Mary Beth prayed that prayer about being truly helpful. To be truly helpful is to accept what is being given to Mary Beth for her healing, that she may extend her peace, her joy, her love, her capacity to forgive, that she may now, there is no more room for being angry at other people, having separation, right? We have caused separation with our desire to be independent and separate. And here we're getting the big dose of separation, right? A big, clear dose of separation. Why? We asked for it. We wanted it. It's exactly what ego says. I'll give you independence, right? I'll give you individuality. I'll give you an empire of your own. We've asked for it. And I'm not saying you, and I'm not blaming you, and I'm not telling you that you should be beating yourself up or punishing yourself. That's exactly what ego would like. What I am saying is, we brought to ourselves the conditions that will help us meet the condition of healing, of acceptance, of identifying with the Christ in us. And what would you imagine Christ would do? What did Mary do? In an insane time, when she was given literally to birth, to be the conduit between the old world and the new, right? The fearful God of the Old Testament and the bringing in of the love of God through Christ. And look how it came for Mary. Hard. It came hard. She was no princess. It came difficult. It was labor. It was cold where she gave birth. She had enormous trust. And because she had enormous trust, she had vision. And because she had vision, many, many in the world were impacted and affected. And the Magi came, and Joseph trusted to marry her. And she was given passage to Egypt. And she bore a baby, unwed. A baby, unwed. Isn't that incredible? An unwed mother, right? Everything the ego would say is wrong and bad, right? And illegal, and who knows what else in her time. Something to be stoned for and shunned for. She brought forth new world, right? The coming of Christ, the first coming of Christ. You are Mary bringing forth the second coming of Christ. It's so amazingly beautiful. If you will accept it, if you will own it, if you will do your part, if you won't be arrogant about this doesn't pertain to me, right? If you will listen to the voice of your heart and do what it says. What does it say, and what do we know? Jesus has been telling us in the way of preparation. Don't judge. Don't judge anyone. Those who seem to say, I need strong boundaries here, and those who say, I don't. Don't judge anyone. Go inside. Look at what the judge inside you is doing to you. Refrain from judging, right? Give more. You are teachers of God. You're teachers of God. You have more to give than anybody who's identified with ego. They have nothing. You are not the impoverished. You are the wealthy. Mary was the wealthy. Give more. And I don't know what it is you're supposed to give more of, except I know it's yourself. It's authentic. It's your vulnerability. It's your softness. It's your kindness. It's your being able to grieve with others. It's your resources. It's you. All of that is you. Give more. The day and the time for collecting and adding on and having, 300 rolls of toilet paper is done. It's done. You live in Christ. Christ lives in you. You will have what you need and more of it. Trust this. Give more. Right? Even if your giving is the correction of the grimace on your face to a smile. Give more forgiveness. Take less. And I hear that, I hear take less. I don't mean sacrifice. I mean take less from the world and more from inside. Take less from the world and its prescriptions and its laws and its competitiveness and its drive and its striving and its success. Take more from what's inside you. You are rich, precious ores inside you, precious resources. Dig for them. Use this time really use this time to get quiet, right? To bask in spiritual word, to dive deeper into your own healing process. Use it to celebrate the home you have, right? Put on your music, dance, get to know yourself. Get to be friends with who you are so that you can sit down on your couch and not run somewhere. And then find creative ways to provide support and structure for those who do not have it. You are a teacher, and your tribe, your flock is all around you. And they are watching you. They are looking. You may not even know it. You may not know who you are teaching. Every moment you are teaching either love or fear. Begin to find creative ways to give support and structure and time to those who will sorely need it, who are afraid. As you do that, you'll find your fear goes away. You will find that you are joined. And that means maybe learning how to use a new software on the computer. Maybe it means finding new ways of communicating in groups. I know that I have a plan for this weekend to do a Zoom chat, a chat room with my whole family, right? And maybe we're going to play Monopoly or Pictionary or something. Everybody's going to be there, right? I don't have to clean up the mess. You don't have to provide the food. All I have to do is show up. We're going to share. We're going to talk. It's going to be a blast. I'm so excited. I'm excited. I feel like I'm going to a party. I can't wait to hear what they have to say. And I can't wait to share my sense of what's coming and what's happening. My happiness about it. I've waited so long for this. So finding creative ways, playing games, being connected. Because we're not going out into the world, into all of these social settings, restaurants and maybe parties and groups and organizations and whatever it is that we're so used to doing, to the gym, to get our sort of sense of connection, but not so close, right? Just connection a little bit. So I have to affirm my ego identity, that I'm okay and people like me and I like people, right? Whatever it is, right? Now you have an opportunity to really practice connecting without the body. And this is something that you know. You know it. You've done the lesson. I am not a body. I am free. You know this. You know how to extend a thought. You know how to connect in prayerfulness. You know how to receive messages from your brothers and sisters. You know when they're in distress, right? You know when the phone is going to ring and you know who it's going to be. And you know how to join. And the opportunity now is to stay joined in heart and mind in greater ways, in creative ways. Not to let that go. Because this is only a time. And honestly, the amount of time depends on us. Our passage through what seems to be so frightening and scary is our decision about time. And every time we choose love over fear, joining over separation, identity with my Christ self, my love, my created self, right? Over, my body, my ego, thoughts about me and everything else. I'm speeding this in. I'm adding to the celestial speed up. And this, this is what I've been waiting. This is what I've been trained for. This is what I have a spiritual path for. This is what I've been longing for with my whole heart. I had a vision many years ago. I think I've talked about it. I want to tell you that vision again. I saw myself in a dream above these United States. And I saw that it was like, looking at the United States, the map from above. And all of a sudden I saw a light sparkle from Boston. And from that light, a kind of shaft of light started heading south. And all of a sudden New York City lit up. And from New York City, a shaft of light started traveling down the east coast of America. And cities all the way down, the eastern side of the country started lighting up with these shafts and these beams of light. And then once it hit Florida, it started moving west. These beams of light connecting and cities lighting up and twinkling. And it was such a joy to see that the whole of the United States was like a grid of beams of light shining with cities twinkling. And I knew the vision was of God. And I felt, and this was many, many years ago as I was beginning this spiritual path, I felt like this is where we were going. And it came up for me again this week because I feel like this is what we are going to be able to, this is the world we're going to live in. That instead of being separate, that we are going to be universal, connected by the light that's within us. That we will be that light, cities of light, and that we will beam and connect to others. I feel that we're connecting that way right now. You can imagine this beam of light connected to me and I, to everyone, and to you out there, and to each other. We seem to be so far away. You're not. You're in me. You're in my mind. You're part of my light. And I'm in you. Not in a body. Within God. Within mind. Within spirit. One. Beaming.